What the actual f? Like, what the actual f? Now, what is up guys, PK here. Now, I swear to God, I had no intentions, nor a wish, to make a video on this topic and or subject. That is, until tonight, after seeing something like 3 or 4 huge content creators, none of which I will name, with extremely emasculated opinions, all of whom, incidentally, receive a huge amount of their ad revenue directly from Twitch.tv. I don't. So, let me just say, everything I'm about to elaborate on and articulate is obviously highly dependent, at least to some extent, on opinion. However, you know what? Actually, scratch that. Let me just cut exactly straight to the problem, get to the point, and move the fuck on. Because this is not something I want to talk about, okay? Now, just super briefly, for those that don't know, Twitch.tv has just added a new category to their categories. On the front page, you have everything from, different games that you can watch streams for. Then you have something called Just Chatting. And now you have something called Hot Tubs and Beaches or some shit like that, right? Hot Tubs, Beach, and Pools, something like that. Now here is the problem. Okay, the problem, in my opinion, isn't so much that you have a bunch of nearly naked girls that are selling heavily sexualized content to maximize their own profits. Like, fine. I don't mind that. That's totally fine. The problem is they're doing it on a platform that is both marketed as and primarily considered to be a live stream gaming platform. This creates 2 problems. First of all, it creates a very uneven field for female streamers that set up a really unfair advantage, an unfair incentive really, worst of all, for young content creators to sexualize themselves, or at least to some degree be left in the dust, right? Because that puts so much pressure on them, those like new people that are starting to stream, to sort of do extremely sexualized content or get left in the dust, because they have to work twice as hard for 1/10 of the success, simply because they don't want to sit nearly naked in a kiddie pool in your living room on an inflated banana, writing sub-names on your body whilst incentivizing bit contributions and cash donations by offering bikini changes and camera squats, all while sitting at the bottom of your stream is a page plastered with links to the actual pornographic material that you are selling on sites like OnlyFans. That's the first problem. Then you have this gap between the image of Twitch and the reality of Twitch. And it's essentially allowing them to sell sex to minors. That's what it is. Now, regardless of what your opinion is on whether or not that is ethical in of itself, the core of the issue is that you're using the branding of being a live stream gaming platform to attract a highly majority, very young audience. And then completely without any form of sexual content warning or parental consent, or really any chance for neither parties to ever know what they're in for prior to it happening. Now, I'm not saying that it should require parental consent or anything. Let me just say that. That was just one example. It could be a school's intranet that just wanted to remove pornographic material from their school's web, or whatever. It doesn't matter. The problem is clearly it's not what they're advertised at, right? Sorry. So you promote highly sexualized content and push it on the front page of Twitch, which, whether or not you like it, has the psychological effect of wheeling these kids back in, right? Many of them who likely went to the site to watch gaming content, but because they are, well, young boys, you get the picture, right? So now you have a situation where A, you pretend to be all about gaming. B, you get kids hooked on sexualized content to keep them coming back, and C, you are simultaneously showing those kids targeted ads. In other words, you are essentially monetizing the fact that underage kids are jerking off to Twitch streamers on your platform. Now, let me just make two things very clear. Firstly, I don't blame the actual streamers for this, despite the fact that I really want to, at least in certain highly specific cases that I will not mention, but there are quite clearly certain big streamers that are intentionally exploiting the TOS for monetary gains and give absolutely zero fucks about the implications, and have in some instances even said so themselves. However, at the end of the day, you can't blame someone for playing the game within the confines of the rules. Even if you are stretching and or exploiting those rules, at the end of the day, it's 100% on Twitch. 100%. Secondly, I want to make it clear that women should, in my opinion, feel free to do any one of these things on the internet as much as they want and sell it as much as they want. The problem isn't the sexualized content, okay? The problem is the context in which the sexualized content is shown, because what they're doing on this site, they're being linked together with a gaming branded site and as a family-friendly live streaming gamer community. So in my opinion, they should either create a separate platform or they should start treating and advertising themselves as a softcore porn site, because that is essentially what that category is. Like 90% of the people in that category are just doing softcore porn. Let's be real. And the hypocrisy is just never ending, because not only, because again, if they want that content on the platform, that's fine. But not only are Twitch pretending like this isn't sexualized content, but worse yet, they're actually portraying it as if you think this is sexualized content, despite the fact that some of these people have actual porn linked in an OnlyFans account. But Twitch, in a statement they've written, makes it sound as if, no, you as the viewer must be a creep or crazy if you interpret any of this as sexualized content. Again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with sexualized content, and at some point you have to draw the line somewhere. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that no amount of, it shouldn't be, it's hard to interpret what is sexualized content, right? Because at the end of the day, you could look at any person and be like, oh, she's hot. That's sexual, right? And of course that's not the case. Of course it's not, right? But it's like, at the other end of the spectrum, I know it's hard to quantify what is and isn't, but it's just so fucking obvious in some cases. Like, come on, you have to draw the line somewhere. And sure, there'll be some people that are offended on the other side, but it baffles me, right? That they can sit there and pretend like no, if you think any of this is sexual, then you're a fucking creep, while it's so obviously sexual in so many cases. And then to make it worse, like the hypocrisy, I never thought that I would, every time I think Twitch has sunk to new lows of hypocrisy, and I'm like, there's no way that they can go any deeper, any further. Somehow they manage. I don't know how. I really don't. Because whilst having this whole new category, which is essentially just collecting 90% of the softcore porn on Twitch in one big category of live streams on their front page, but meanwhile, they're still banning other streamers for brief and unintentional momentary instances of nudity, such as viewers that manage to troll Twitch streamers by getting them to open a GIF they didn't mean to open, or maybe they were playing a video game where they weren't aware of some brief sexualized scene in the story narrative, whatever the fuck it might be, right? That's still gonna get you banned for a month in some cases, right? A month in some cases. As it was with, I believe it was 𝒮𝔞𝔤𝔞𝔤𝔢𝔯𝒮𝔮𝔞𝔤𝔞 who was banned for a whole month because he accidentally, I forgot what a viewer somehow managed to get him to click on a GIF that for a brief moment had a horse having sex, or something like that. It was something with a horse, I believe, right? And you could clearly see that he was like, whoa, and closed it immediately. 1 month ban, right? It's like, or was it, I believe, was it 𝔞𝔤𝔤𝔢𝔯𝔮𝔞𝔥 again? And you can say what you want. You can like or hate her. I don't care. Briefly, for a moment, dropped. I believe it was a towel or something that dropped from her, and again, briefly showing nudity, right? Very briefly. And again, you can think that her content is or isn't sexual, and you can like it or dislike it. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't watch her as a streamer. It's just an instance that specifically I've heard about, where it was so clearly not intentional. That moment, right? It was so clear that wasn't intentional. Again, got a ban for it. And it's like, you cannot have your cake and eat it, Twitch. What the and how is no one willing to just straight up say that? That's almost the worst part, right? It's like, you want to have hot top streams on your platform? Fine. It's just, but at least call it what it is. Because it's so clear. Like, it's so clear. Don't try to make people feel weird for looking at that and going, that's sexual. Because it so clearly is, right? We have eyes. I mean, come on. And especially don't sit there and then at the same time ban your content creators completely out of context situations where it so clearly wasn't intentional, whilst you're also promoting. So you're promoting sex over here, and then you're banning for it over here. I mean, not even brief, unintentional, momentary instances of nudity, whilst also promoting very long, hours-long, intentional, highly sexualized content. And like those two. Am I crazy? But feel free to tell me if I'm crazy. Am I missing something here? Anyways, those are my thoughts. I'm gonna move the fuck on with my life.